Yo, what's good, YouTube? I am back with another video, and we're going back to back. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see when this gets uploaded. But anyway, we got CRL round 17, I think. I'm not too sure. Y'all know I never remember, but I think it's around 17 or 18, whatever it is. It's Russia. I don't know how to feel about this track. I think everybody can say that it's a terrible track in real life, but it's actually, it flows nicely and it feels decent on sim. I don't know why. It's kind of like Hungary. Hungary, I guess, is a really boring track in real life, but I love driving it. So yeah, Russia's pretty fun, but you guys are gonna see here, this is my last lap of quali, and it's finally not raining. I think we had it's full dry all the way through, so no rain to worry about. But we put in a decent lap, so
I'm literally last.
yeah, I'm gonna actually just let you guys kind of listen in.
Oh, sorry.
Fuck.
So as you can see, we do a low 130, and that puts us into the podium positions. And I don't think that I have qualified in the podium positions all season. So hopefully, obviously, going through this race, our main goal is going to be to, again, similar to Singapore, just not get penalties, keep our nose clean, don't get any damage. And yeah, but getting to the start line, we have yet another glitch start, so we are quite familiar with this, but the fact that we're still getting them is pretty annoying, and I don't know whether to blame Codemasters or the host, because Ladies has hosted several of the races and it's been fine, so it's just weird when this stuff happens. But we are going to get into the start, and this is going to be a wild one. So 5 lights, we're away. Groovy basically doesn't even start. Me and Nat both get away perfectly for the circumstances, and if I would have looked behind me, I'm sure I would have seen chaos. I looked behind for like a split second, but already before even the first turn, we have our first safety car of the race, and that will be the first of many. This is one of the most chaotic league races I've ever raced in. It wasn't dirty, it wasn't a bad race, it was just the repeated safety cars didn't help, and yeah, just people struggled to not spin out or not get damage, I guess, around this track. So
that's why I started muting.
Getting into this first restart, this is something that I struggled with the entire race. I was not expecting the safety car to come in. I was obviously AI'd, so yeah, I just didn't even expect it. So we're gonna go into this restart with cold rear tires, and that's gonna be able to get a great start on us. And we clip this apex, but we're already spinning. So it's just, luckily Gelfie doesn't really react that great either from behind us, but Nat literally gets nearly a second ahead before even the first turn. So it just wasn't a good restart, and this race is definitely making me realize that I need to practice those, because you'll see later in the video that it was just something I struggled with greatly. Similar to Canada, how I went deep, literally I think 7 laps in a row on the final hairpin. It was just like one of those mistakes that you don't make in practice, but you for some reason couldn't get right in the race. But we're gonna skip forward a little bit. Things kind of calmed down for the time being, but as you see, Nat's still about 1.1 seconds ahead. I did find out after this race that he was using 2.7, I believe, and I am using 4.8. So there was a big difference in the amount of downforce that we were both using. And I just noticed that very, very early that I really did not have the straight line speed for a track like this. And, you know, you live and you learn, but I felt really good in sector 2 and 3 for most of the race. And I guess I thought that kept me with a good defense, being quick in the third sector, but it didn't leave me with really any sort of offense. And yeah, that'll obviously come to possibly bite us in the end, but we'll obviously see. But this is our second safety car, and it's only 6 laps in. I think it happened on lap 4, so another safety car. This time I am leading the pack, getting hit by the limiter, of course. But as we restart, we're gonna make sure that we do not have cold tires this time. We're going to try our best to get a good restart and make sure that Gelfi does not have any chance going into that first turn. But you guys will notice once we hit this straight, if we would have had 2.7 or even 3.8, I think we would have been much better off in this race, and been able to attack a lot more. So restarting now, and again, I almost go sideways. My tires were definitely warm, but maybe I just got on the power way too aggressively. But at least, again, Gelfi, who was behind us for the last restart, again, also probably was having trouble with the restarts. So he doesn't pose much of a threat going into this. And now all I am thinking is we did not pit during either of those safety cars. We have to build a gap. So I know that Groovy is struggling behind us because of the start, and Nat pitted for, I want to say he pitted for the hards. So he's not going to need to pit again for the entire race. We are going to continue on, and we're going to still do a one stop, but we're going to probably stretch these softs a couple extra laps just because we got those safety cars, and we're just really going to try and pull a gap. Dream scenario would honestly be to pull somewhere of a 15 to 17 second gap on Nat, but obviously we'll start to notice that the pace that we have is good, but it's Nat on this track was very, very, very quick, so keeping him behind would have been a tough task. But ending off this first lap from the restart, we managed to get 1.4 seconds on Gelfi, who's in second place, and the guys in third and fourth, unfortunately, I think they had a lot of incidents at the beginning. I know my teammate had an incident at the beginning where that safety car unfortunately came at a poor time, and I think he made like 3 contacts with Shoeman, so my teammate himself got 15 seconds of penalties. Not sure if we took those off after with the stewards meeting, but nonetheless, he did end up having those 15 seconds. So as you see, Jeff wants us to pit, but we're going to keep going for at least one more lap. Gelfi is deciding to go into the pits, and that is something to keep an eye on, so we'll see if he is able to get the undercut. But for now, all I am worried about is seeing Nat on my leaderboard. He is 9 seconds behind. So I know that this lap is critical, because if we don't push this lap and we come out of the pits and he is 3-4 cars ahead of us, then the whole plan is ruined almost. The whole one stop is ruined, because traffic on this map, traffic on this track isn't that bad, although you just don't want to be stuck behind slower cars. Nat managed to get through the traffic quite quickly on those hards, so that was a little bit disappointing. Obviously, people had to pit still, so, and a lot of people did choose to pit under those safety cars. So yeah, we've got 9 seconds to Nat and 7 seconds to Azure, so we're just gonna push on this in lap and try to get the best possible scenario coming out of the pits. We're gonna try and nail all these corners, keeping that delta up towards the upper 9s, trying to also put him into the 10s if possible. And also, if you see behind him, Groovy is still right behind Nat, trailing him. So Groovy is in a net P2, and he also is on the mediums currently. So we're going to go into the pits now. Hopefully nothing happens, no penalties, no slip ups, and it looks like we're going to get through our pit stop just fine. But coming out of the pits, it's going to be a different story. So as you see, we're already down into 6th, down into 7th, and Gelfie is coming up right behind us, and he's gonna get the advantage going to the corner. So Gelfie does get a small undercut on us. He gets about, I would say, about a second on us, so 1.5 to a second in terms of an undercut, which isn't too bad. I'm fine with that. We're gonna have fresher mediums towards the end of the race, if we obviously don't have a safety car. But we're gonna try to make quick work of Gelfie. We don't want to be behind him too long. Obviously, you guys have seen me battle with Gelfie in the past. Me and him are generally pretty clean drivers, so we don't get too many penalties. So I know I need to be ahead of him on track, and also obviously because I did get a 3-second penalty earlier in the race, I need to be ahead of him by a large margin. So him pulling away from me right now on the straight is just further kind of proving that 4.8 is probably not the route if I did this league race again, I think I would maybe muscle out 2.7, or I would do 3.7 or 3.8. I think 3.8 would have been a really good balance for the third sector and still having decent front line speed, but 4.8 was just not enough. I was having to waste way too much ERS, and the downforce, having the higher downforce really makes it so you can't save as much ERS. You're not having to brake as much for certain corners. And going into lap 15, we're going to go for the overtake on Gelfie, and we leave him space, but unfortunately I think he taps my side pod. And fortunately, in the stewards meeting, we didn't obviously get any penalties for that after the race. We did consider that a racing incident. Luckily, that was unfortunate though, so apologies to Gelfie if I did put him off a little bit, but racing incident nonetheless. Lap 15, and we get a virtual safety car. This was not caused by Gelfie, but we did get a virtual safety car. Obviously it doesn't change a whole lot, just makes it so we can maybe stretch our mediums even longer. But going into lap 17, passing our teammate who had the unfortunate start, who's also on controller right now. He broke his wheel, I believe it was after Monza. I think it was after Monza. I might be wrong. Maybe, yeah, I think it was after Monza because we had the sub for Singapore. So, yeah, he is getting used to the controller again for the time being until he can get another wheel. But as you see, we get a third safety car, and this time it is the league leader who is in the wall.
What happened?
In the wall. That is a big deal. Obviously, he was one of the people who qualified ahead of us, but he is now gonna be obviously out of the race. So going into the safety car, I'm sorry, we decide to pit at the very last moment, somewhat cutting off our teammate. And if I'm being honest, I did feel really bad after doing this. Obviously, this created a double stack. But my reasoning for doing that was seeing Milky and Nat hop into the pits. There was obviously no way that I could give up that position. If I stayed on the mediums, I would have gotten swallowed on the restart. So I had to go and put on old softs. They're not terribly old, but they are about, I think by the restart, they were at about 4 or 5%. So starting the restart, I'm stuck behind 2 bots that obviously can't unlap themselves for some odd reason. And that already puts us out of the DRS of Milky and Hammer. So we are sitting in 4th place, 2 seconds behind the closest car. Meanwhile, Underrated is directly behind us. And again, I confirmed that he was using 2.7 in this race. and he was just catching me so quickly. He's about 4/10 behind us. Luckily, through some of these 90-degree turns, we're able to get a little bit of breathing room, but even then, the dirty air is the only thing saving us from getting overtaken by him into these corners, because we just don't have the straight line speed. We don't have any margin for error when it comes to these turns to make up with this downforce. So we have to honestly nail all of these corners. And again, in lap 22, we have the 4th safety car of the race, and this is honestly somewhat of a godsend for us, because although we might have been catching Milky a little bit, who went on the mediums, we weren't necessarily putting a huge dent. So this safety car again shrinks up the pack, but you have to remember that we do have 3 seconds, and Gelfi is not far behind us. I think by the time that we restart, he's only about 2 cars or 3 cars behind us. So with our 3 seconds, and if he's able to get some work done in these next 3 laps, we obviously will have to worry about him being behind us, since we did get that early penalty. So moving forward into lap 25, and you're already seeing the cursed restart has just continued. I could not get a good restart. Granted, I think everybody, I've said this around Spa, but it's really becoming more true as we go on. But like, we have like 4 races left, and everybody's losing motivation. I think everybody's kind of ready for a new league to start. Everybody's kind of
underrated.
While there's actually a lot of fights going on in the points, and I'll make sure to put up the driver standings, not the constructor standings this time. There's a lot of fights going on in the midfield, and also after Nat's recent performances, he's put himself into a really good position to possibly win the whole championship. So yeah, there's fights everywhere, but it seems like we're getting less and less racers each race. We had 16 here, but I really do think that like 4 or 5 of them were bots. So it was really more like 11, maybe 12 to start. I think we at least had 13 to start. But and still, I mean, just racing with that few people in a league race that's as serious as we kind of try to take it, it does kill your motivation. So yeah, I think that's why I'm putting so much more emphasis into UNF1 than I am CRL at the moment. Although I enjoy CRL, I think if I were to have actually made videos of the whole season, I've had a lot of really poor luck. I'm sorry, that is my phone. But I've had a lot of really poor luck this season, and it's reflected in my points, obviously. Just had a lot of really unlucky incidents that weren't my fault, and a lot of incidences that were my fault and honestly were made just because it's like only really my first or second league that I've even participated in. So we do get another warning, but it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I'll kind of stop rambling, but because we are in the last lap of this race, and at some points I felt like I could get really close, and you'll see in the 3rd sector I managed to get it pretty close, but Milky's pace was pretty decent. I thought that right there would be an opportunity because it looked like he had a little swiggle out of the turn, but I think it was just a glitch because his car just teleported forward. So even with that, we still do get very close towards the end, but it's just too little, too late. And unfortunately, I think I would say I probably choked an easy podium. Milky came from like 12th place to get a podium this race, so fair play to him. As I've said, me and Milky have had plenty of battles this season, and I definitely hope he gets into ROR, which he is already in. And yeah, because me and his pace nearly identical a lot of the time. You can see our best times. I think I might have bested him by a little bit. I can't really see it. So anyway, we do get 4th if you guys stuck around this long, I really do appreciate it. This is kind of a longer video, so I had to get creative with some of the topics I use. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, if you guys made it this far, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Today is Thursday, so we just raced Japan yesterday, so I think that video will probably be out next week. But yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. Like I said, like, comment, and subscribe. Please do leave that subscribe. I'm trying to get to at least like 50. Let's get to 50 or something. Alright, I'm gonna stop playing. Alright, peace, y'all.